morning, all. That time of the month, I had our board meeting last night, so time to give you the district update and just kind of let you know what happened in the board meeting. Not a huge agenda, but just want to go through a few of the items that we talked about in the old business area. First, the principals gave the reports. They just kind of gave the board just some updates. The board had talked about wanting to know kind of how our discipline incidences had progressed during the year, and I guess it was something a few years ago that they would get on a normal basis, but asked our principals to bring those. So Mrs. Smith brought to the board, kind of reports from Swiss, and we talked about the middle school, high school behavior tracker. And nice thing to see is that, our behavioral incidences, although, they can kind of cause problems at times, are consistent or a little bit on the decline. So it's just good for the board to see those things. We did talk about our attendance too. Ran an attendance report, kind of compared last year's attendance report to this year's attendance report, and very similar numbers. Of course, we'd like to see attendance numbers get better and better all the time, but they're not getting worse. So it's nice to see our attendance is where it's at, and we'll continue to work on that and continue to push kids to be here because it's helpful for everybody when they're in the building. Election update for the board positions. There's 3 petitions taken out for 3 spots, so there won't be an election this year. There's no school board election. I believe the 3 that were up were Judge Jolene, and then an appointment of Tori McCauley, and he's got a petition out. So those will be the 3 that'll continue on for the board. So it's no election this year. Gave the board negotiations update. Basically, long story short, is the negotiators both met and they're meeting again tonight. And they got some things done in the first round. And I imagine that tonight, hopefully they'll wrap up, and if not, we'll continue the process. So that was a negotiations update. The 26-27 school calendar, they approved. I'll send a copy or a version of that calendar to everybody, but it has been approved. So later today, you'll get an email with that calendar, so you'll see that. So that was all of the old business. New business, we're talking about a dress code situation. We had a public comment about some dress code items. Basically, the board said, if it's something that applies maybe, through ethnicity or through cultural things, that they were going to talk about how we can allow those things. The main thing brought up in the public comment was the wearing of do-rags, basically a head covering that's tight, and basically do-rags, they have a purpose. It's to hold in hairstyles, like if a person would do some cornrows or something like that. So they have a kind of a purpose behind them. So it's not that everybody just gets to wear them for wearing them purposes, but there's actually a reason behind them. So we kind of talked about that if some kiddo would want to do that we'd allow that. Long story short, it wasn't a big discussion, but we're going to continue with our dress code, not make changes and leave it to discretionary reasons. But if there's a reason that they're doing it, we're going to allow it as long as it's not a distraction. So not a lot on that. We did approve Associated School Boards of South Dakota's workman compensation and health insurance policies. As you know, or maybe you don't know, but our insurance went up 9% this year, which is a pretty big increase district-wide. It's $25,000 or so to cover that change, if we would cover that. And more on that. That's a negotiation item that's going on, so we'll get that information to you. We talked about potentially changing this year's calendar. If you remember, we made the 2 days up that we missed for weather, but we did miss 2 days for state basketball. So we talked to the board about that. The recommendation was to just end where the calendar is now and forgive 2 days for students and staff. And the board did take that recommendation. So the 21st is the last day with kids, 1 o'clock out. 22nd will be our staff in-service day, and we will not need to return to the building after Memorial Day. So hope people enjoy that decision. Capital outlay budget, we basically get that together every year, and the board approved that. It could have small tweaks in it, but basically capital outlay is our computers, our technology, building things, building and grounds maintenance, projects, textbooks, computer subscriptions, all those things. So we did approve that budget. Pretty big budget, but got that approved for the year. There could be some small tweaks to it, but basically got that amount figured out. So superintendent report, I just talked a little bit about a couple grants we received from the Stanley Jones Trust. We really appreciate their support, but we got 2 significant grants to help continue our HOSA program, our health services program for our kids, and our networks of support program that we brought in this year that is going on. So we got some support through them for those programs that we can keep funding those and not having to take that money out of the general fund, and it's nice to have that support. So we super appreciate them. Oh, I mentioned one other thing. We did approve our South Dakota High School Activity Association resolution. Basically, we have to do that every year so we can be in South Dakota High School Activity Association events. It's not due till July, but I had it, so I wanted to get that approved. That's a normal thing that we do every year. So, also in the superintendent's report, we just talked a little bit about that attendance I mentioned earlier. We talked about our gardens HVAC. We're kind of looking at a way to get the HVAC better in the gardens, but they're running some problems there. So, just bringing those things to the attention of the board through the superintendent's report. Did have an executive session, talked about the negotiations. The negotiators filled the board in a little more of the status of negotiations. And then our personnel, we obviously in personnel, we kind of look at our contracts and resignations and those things like that. They came out of executive session to approve the following contracts. Stockton McClanahan for assistant track and field for this year. Christy Lyman for middle school, high school, school counselor. Lex Moore is going to transition to an aide in the SPED department for us. Amber Comp is a high school science position that we had opened that is going to be filled through that. And then middle school social studies, Justin Jensen, who is actually Dr. MJ's husband, who has been a teacher before, is interested in getting back in. So he's very interested in our middle school social studies position. So he was approved to transition into that. So it's nice to see those things. Resignations. Courtney Gould, SPED aide over in the middle school and high school, had put a resignation in. Had just been busy with other things. And then Nicole, middle school, high school administrative assistant, Nicole Hoosman, put in her resignation to focus on some other things, and that was approved last night. So we really appreciate her input for us and her addition to our staff the last 5 years. It's going to be a hard one to replace. She did a great job with it, but on to some bigger and better things for her. And again, for Courtney doing what she did for us for a year, we really appreciate that too. So those were the approvals and resignations for the meeting. And then finally, the last thing we did is we approved the issuing of all certified and classified staff contracts once negotiations is over. Hopefully that's soon, and those will be out and everybody so we can get those signed. So that's about it. I hope you're having a great day. It's one of those times of the year where things get kind of crazy. It's going to get some nice weather here, so enjoy that when you can. Hang in there for another, 4.5 weeks of school. And if you got any questions, as always, just give me a buzz, and I'll be happy to help. Have a great day, everybody.